Brochus. Okay, Maharal, page Chaf Aleph, Nesiv Yiras Hashem. Moshe Rabbeinu says, "Mo Hashem Elokecha Shel Me'imoch," and this is referring to Yiras Shamayim. So Moshe asks, "Is Yiras Shamayim such a small thing?" So Moshe says, "For Moshe, it wasn't so great." So the Maharal asks, which is the obvious question. He's speaking to Klal Yisrael. What is Hashem asking of you? So the example I gave: a person has $1 million, another person doesn't have $1. He says, "By the way, could you lend me $100?" It says, am I asking so much? For the man who has $1 million, $100 doesn't mean much. For the man who has $1, he doesn't have it. He doesn't have it. So for Moshe, Yiras Hashem doesn't mean much because he's at that exceptional level. But for us, it's a lifetime's work to achieve even part of it. That's the question. Upirsha Maimer Hazeh V'im ki adover hazeh omuk ma'od. He says, because this is something which is very deep. Therefore, we have to explain it, to establish the divrei chachomim and the truthfulness with wisdom. You know, something which is a good question, it needs the right answer. The question is a phenomenal question. Because Moshe Rabbeinu was so great, for him it was nothing, therefore he says to us, what am I asking of you? We have to understand what the chachomim, you know, with the rabbis, it doesn't make any sense, chas v'sholom. Because they said something, we have to understand the truthfulness of their words, al pi chochma. Because if it's not pi chochma, you understand, it doesn't hold water. It doesn't hold water, it's a disgrace. I always say that's the problem, you know, most people, who are they exposed to? Torah-wise, or I should say, information-wise. Judaism, information. From the pulpit rabbis. What do the rabbis understand? Are they such great Talmud Chachamim? So the question, they'll ask a question, and they'll give their own answer. But you understand, their answer is not the right answer. You know, it's his take on whatever it may be. So the people, if that's his take, is their take. And if they accept what he says, you understand? It's not going to, if it's not emes, it's not going to hold up in all situations. And people are going to poke holes in it. And once you start poking holes in it, you have more holes than substance. Eventually it's nothing. So the Maharal is saying, because the question is such a question, and divrei chachomim are emes, we have to be able to grasp and understand the truthfulness of them, of what they're saying. Therefore, he will establish what they're saying al pi chochma. He will establish it based on what's true wisdom, grasping what they need to say. Like, you know, very often people, they have habits saying, you know, the Gemara doesn't make any sense. Makes sense? You don't understand. And that's what we have to understand. And if you understand everything they say is profound, you know, Professor Einstein, Lahavdil Elef Havdolos, says something in physics. He said, it doesn't make sense. Does it not make sense? What do you understand? What do you know? Chazal, when they say something, what do you mean it doesn't make any sense? What do you understand? What do we understand? So you have to try to what? You have to apply yourself to try to understand. If at the end of the day you don't understand, it doesn't make any sense, but you don't understand. You know, we have to wait. You have to discuss it. Okay? V'zeki kvar amari ki etzem hayira ma she'odom olu ela oleh v'amitas hayira. What is the root? What is the basis for true Yiras Hashem? Yiras Hashem.
What's olu?
Okay, we'll discuss it. You haven't been here for a week.
Oh, more than that.
Okay. No, yeah, Hurricane Sandy. She had boats which were attached to the docks. What happened? The dock was pulled out, so the boat is way out there. Okay, you have to bring the boat in. Okay, this guy was cut loose for a week.
What's
okay?
Up? What's up, Doc?
Okay, so that's what we're talking about. We'll talk. Now, if a person would truly understand God, we say every day, we say all the strong ones are like nothing in your prison. Whatever your intelligence is like in the vernacular, you have no brains. No understanding, no intelligence. Versus God, do we have any understanding? Look at this creation. To compute and to orchestrate all existence simultaneously. Is it possible? One of the Imams, one of the 13 tenets of belief is that God knows our thoughts. This charvonish, right? If you know, in the order of the Imams, it's something very important to say every day. First, we say God knows a person's thoughts and actions. He's aware of everything. Then we say in God, then also there's reward and punishment. What is that tenet have to precede the tenet of reward and punishment? Ernie, you ever hear or think of it? God knows our actions, knows our thoughts. That says God gives reward and gives punishment. What does A precede B? Right, what do you say? This is what we call a no-brainer. Okay? See that? He's already talking intelligently. Okay. Because we can't talk reward and punishment. Let's say you do an action. First, is God aware that you even did the action? So he has to be aware. And then we talk about qualitatively speaking. When you do an action, so that means he has to know your thought. So we can't speak about reward and punishment unless he knows the fact, even in the physical fact, and what is that fact, that action infused with. So he has to not only know the action, but he has to know the thought that's behind that action. Otherwise, we can't talk about scharvonish. Do you know what it means? One person in his lifetime. To compute every moment of your existence for your lifetime, to keep all that information, every 24 hours a day, every moment of your existence, as long as you're alive, from the moment you become an adult until you die. To keep track of that, compute it, and make a decision what you're deserving, and all along during that period of time, there's just this reward and punishment. After a person dies, there's reward and punishment in this world. Just to compute one person, you know what it takes? And we talk about a community, we talk about a country, and we talk about a whole world, and everything is integrated and interrelated. You know what this is? So what's God's wisdom and genius? It's something which is not fathomable. The word unfathomable is an understatement. That's what it is. And that's one aspect of God. What about his creative powers? He created this world. If a person would stand in his presence, what would be? You'd be negated, and you would be able to realize, not only understand what we don't understand, to be able to internalize the reality of the goddess. You couldn't exist in his presence. The level of awe and reverence and fear, you couldn't survive it. You couldn't survive it. Tell over a story that the Tsar's name was Nikolai II. He's the one who instituted the 25-year draft. Rabid anti-Semite, hated Jews, no less than Hitler, Yimach Shmo. And he issued a decree against the Jews, and they had to choose somebody to go and try to represent the Jewish community, to try to annul the decree. And the man, if he sensed that in the presentation or when the person's in his presence is not sufficiently respectful enough, not only is it costing his life, it will cost the life of the whole community who he's representing. So they had to choose a person, firstly, who was very cultured in Russian, and the whole Russian culture spoke Russian in a very, sophisticated way, and all the posturing of diplomacy and all that, he had to have all the posture. They trained this man for half a year how to be poised and how to express himself and how to present himself and how to articulate it. He practiced for a year, understanding that if he should fail, what the consequence would be. He comes before the Tsar after all this, being trained by the professionals and experts, and he comes before the Tsar. He cannot get a word out of his mouth. He became totally mute. Understanding the consequence, that if it's not up to par, even to the slightest, and he will sense that, the consequences are catastrophic. he literally lost his power of speech. Because he understands the reality of what the Tsar's attitude is towards Jews. So if Lahavda left us, if a person would be able to sense to any degree what God's greatness is, could you even open your mouth? You'd be terrified. Understanding who God is and who you're not. Okay? It's the same idea. What's Yiras Shamayim? So the more you understand the connection, the cause and the effect concept, which he's described, that's Olil and Olil. The cause and effect. God is the cause. We're a consequence because he wills our existence. And every moment of our existence, he continues to wills it. And if you understand that connection between us, then you have Yiras Shamayim. Then you walk that straight line. The moment you cut yourself from that, and you believe that you're independent of him, then there's no Yiras Shamayim. To be continued.